everyone's attention, please. We're going to go ahead and start with our speakers today. As you all know, we are here today with our legislators that are going to be talking to us about things. We're going to introduce each legislature. We'll give them about 10 minutes to speak and about 10 minutes for questions. They're going to talk about what happened this past year in Nashville, about some issues that are coming up for next year that affect our industry. And if we run out of time with questions, if we have time at the end, we may open it back up for some more questions. But like we said, we're going to give each one about 10 minutes to speak to you and about 10 minutes for questions. So if you can kind of keep us on that time frame, that would be great. The first speaker is Senator Doug Overby. He represents Blount and Sevier County in the Senate. He was elected to the House in 2000 and to the Senate in 2008, and he was just re-elected for another term. He serves on the Finance, the Judiciary, and the Health Committees in the State Senate. It is with pleasure to introduce him to you today to let him tell us about what all he does in Nashville that helps us and helps our community. It's my pleasure to introduce to you Senator Doug Overby.
Thank you, Jackie, very much, and Christy and Vicki, and to the Gatlinburg Hospitality Association and Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for the invitation to be here. It's great to be here along with my colleague, Representative Art Swan, and colleague to be presumptive Representative Dale Carr. And I want to congratulate all of you for taking the time to be here and to join in this. This is a great crowd that is here today, and it's so good to see so many friends that Kay and I have made over the past 4 years during our time of enjoying the privilege you have given us of representing Sevier County in the Tennessee State Senate. I want to express my appreciation to you for giving me that opportunity to do so for another 4 years. And it is so good to be here with you today. Let me first do a little short review of the past legislative session, and then look to the future of what we may be facing in 2013. Over the past couple of years, and under the leadership of our Governor Bill Haslam, your Representative Dale Carr, and I want to congratulate all of you for taking the time to be here and to join in this. This is a great crowd that is here today. And it's so good to see so many friends that Kay and I have made over the past 4 years during our time of enjoying the privilege you have given us of representing Sevier County in the Tennessee State Senate. I want to express my appreciation to you for giving me that opportunity to do so for another 4 years. And it is so good to be here with you today. Let me first do a little short review of the past legislative session, and then look to the future of what we may be facing in 2013. Over the past couple of years, and under the leadership of our Governor Bill Haslam, your state has been doing what we and our families have to do, and that is to live within our means. As state revenues have declined, as the stimulus dollars have receded, we've been able to reduce the state budget about $2.5 billion over the past 2 years, while at the same time granting some tax relief to our farmers and our families and small businesses. And by that I mean this year we were able to begin to reduce the sales tax on food, which has come down, and we expect it to come down even further over the next 2 years. This year, we eliminated the gift tax retroactive to January 1 of 2012, and we began the elimination of the inheritance tax, which should be fully completed in another 3 years or so. These are no small accomplishments of balancing the budget while at the same time reducing spending and reducing taxes at the same time. Also, Dave Jones would jump up here if I didn't mention, again through Governor Haslam's leadership and proposal, that we were able to make the cooperative tourism advertising budget, put it in the recurring category in our budget rather than in the non-recurring. And that cannot be overlooked. And our commissioner has been instrumental in that, and we so much value, and I'm so glad that Governor Haslam kept Susan on as our commissioner. It's good for our area and of great benefit. I think as we look toward 2013, we in the legislature understand what you've been hearing on the national level, and that is we need to be concerned about growing our state's economy and growing jobs. And I think whatever we can do in that regard is exactly what needs to be done. As you heard last night, I totally agree that government does not create jobs. Does it, Bill Snodgrass? Government does not create jobs. In fact, too often government sucks money out of our private businesses so they can't create jobs. But we need to continue to lay a foundation for job creation in the private sector in our state. And I think that's part and parcel of eliminating the inheritance tax so that our farmers don't have to sell their property in order to pay their inheritance taxes, or small business owners don't have to sell their businesses in order to prepare to pay their inheritance taxes. We are doing, I think, a good job in economic development and recruitment, and we've given our Department of Economic and Community Development some additional tools and extra flexibility in order to do that. But I think we also need to continue the 10 Invesco program that we started in 2009 and expanded in 2010 in order to promote small and startup businesses in this state. So what else is ahead in 2013? I think we will continue to move toward these areas of tax reduction, continue the program of inheritance tax relief, continue the program of sales tax relief, and I think we need to continue looking at ways to grant relief on the Hall income tax, whether that is to raise the exemptions, raise the levels, working toward totally eliminating it, again with the idea that we want to encourage folks not to move out of Tennessee, not to move their wealth out of Tennessee, but to keep it in this state so it can be productive. We also need to take a good hard look at our sentencing laws and our Board of Probation and Parole and the activities that are going on there. We have to admit, and it's been brought to focus with a couple of horrible traffic accidents that have happened both on Chapman Highway and on 411 South in Blount County. And it's also been brought home by the newspaper articles you've read where our Board of Probation and Parole has been supervising folks who are dead out on probation. We need to take a strong, hard look at our safety measures, make sure the Board of Probation and Parole is functioning as it should, and making sure those felons who are committing serious crime and jeopardizing our citizens serve their time. Another area we need to look at, and will be, that you've probably read about in the paper, is higher education. Many parents with college-age children, with high school-age children looking to go into schools are concerned about double-digit tuition hikes. We've reached a point in our state to where formerly the state, most of the cost of a college education at our public universities came through state appropriations rather than tuition. And now those lines have crossed to where tuition is furnishing most of the cost rather than state appropriations. And we need to take a look at that, but as a consequence of that, more and more folks are ending up with a lot of debt on their plate after they graduate from school. You've also heard Governor Haslam talk about looking at the governance of our public, our institutions of higher education, how we govern with the Board of Trustees at the University of Tennessee, the Board of Regents for our other state institutions, and then the Tennessee Higher Education Commission. We also, I think, will be looking at workers' compensation reform. We have had some waves of workers' compensation reform in the past. A couple of years ago, we redefined injury so that really disease processes are not included with on-the-job compensable injuries, but we're going to continue to look at that. And some of the folks say, well, let's get it out of the court system. Let's have special panels and get it out of the court system. That may be an idea. Of course, on the other hand, we may run into a constitutional issue under our state constitution, which guarantees open courts. But workers' compensation will certainly be on the plate. We also will be dealing with the issue of Obamacare. Of course, a lot of that may depend on what happens here in, is it 20 days, 21 days now, on November the 6th. But if there is no change and Obamacare stays on the books, then we're going to have to look at instituting the health insurance exchanges in our state. And I know that will be controversial. Some folks will probably think that's not the right thing to do. The difficulty is if we don't do it on the state level, the federal government comes in and tells us what to do, how to do, and how much to spend for it. And I always think, no offense, Bill, that we can do a better job on the state level making decisions for our own state than the federal government can in telling us what to do. Hopefully, that will be a moot point, but we don't know that now, and we need to be making plans for being in compliance if it stays on the books next year. The final issue that I want to mention to you is how we select our appellate judges in this state. Judicial selection has been an issue for a good number of years. Frankly, I think the way we have been doing it under what is called the Tennessee Plan is the right way to do it. And it certainly has been good for our two counties. We have, from Sevier and Blount County, we have a Chief Justice of the Tennessee Supreme Court. We have a judge on the Tennessee Court of Criminal Appeals in Norma Ogle. We have a judge, well, two judges, Judge Kelly Thomas from Blount County. I think it has served us well and done well. But it looks like that's going to be changing. Many folks think we ought to have the direct election of appellate court judges. In my opinion, that just puts justice up for sale. It puts justice up to the highest bidder rather than having merit selection like we have now. And that's going to continue to be talked about and debated as we go into to 2013. Just this past year, we passed a resolution to put a constitutional ballot on for in 2014 that would basically eliminate the Tennessee Plan. It would make our appointment of it would not go to direct elections. However, our appellate judges would be appointed by the governor, subject to confirmation by the House and Senate. And that is the measure supported by Governor Haslam. It passed by simple majorities in both the House and the Senate this year, and before 2014, for it to go on the ballot, it would have to be passed by 2/3 majorities in both houses. While that's not the preferred way, I think it is a much better way than going to direct elections and having our judges out trying to raise millions and millions and millions of dollars rather than the way we're doing it now. That is just a quick run through, and I probably ought to mention one other thing, or Dr. Jack Parton will be running up here or asking a question. But we have to do something about bringing greater equity and parity in how the state funds K through 12 education. The change that was made in 2007 to BEP 2.0 favored, there is no doubt, it favored the large urban school districts in Nashville, Chattanooga, Memphis, Knox, to the detriment of the smaller school districts in this state. And it cost Sevier County, the four school systems in Sevier County and Blount County, millions and millions of dollars. And we must, and in fact our comptroller, our state comptroller, Justin Wilson, has said that the current way we figure the BEP program is too convoluted, too complex, and almost no one understands it. That's not right. We need to get a system that is easily understood, easily applied, so that anybody can do the calculations and come out with what's fair. But right now, it is not fair to the four school districts that are in Sevier and Blount County, and we need to continue to work to change it. Dr. Parton, you can relax just a little bit right now, okay? We were able to tweak the funding formula, though, just this past year that helped a little bit, but I know it didn't ease the pain that you feel and your school board feels in putting your budget together. But I do congratulate you on being an exemplary school district in spite of and despite what you've had to endure with the lack of funding. Jackie, do you want to take questions now or sit down? Do you want me to introduce the birthday boy? That today's Art Swan's birthday. It was very interesting this morning. We were speaking to a high school class, and I announced it, that it was Representative Swan's birthday, and one of the students came, knelt before him, and sang a great rendition of Happy Birthday.
Does anybody have any questions for Senator Overby? If you just raise your hand, we have a mic and we'll bring the mic to you. You did a good job.
Art has one.
You need to talk about OTC.
My question is, when you introduce your state income tax, are you going to get Dale to sign on?
The fact of the matter is, Representative Swan, while we were standing in line, said that he intended to announce his own state income tax proposal this coming year. I will say one of the things I'm very proud of is to be one of the few people who's actually on the floor of either the House or Senate who has had to vote on that issue. And I'm proud to say I was one of the 53 no votes in 2002 voting against the state income tax when our speaker kept the voting board open for an hour and a half and called people out in the hallway and twisted arms and tried to get a vote on that. And I don't think anything would hurt our state quite as much as if we go to an income tax versus staying with a consumption tax. That does lead me to say though, and I had it in my notes to say, I think your delegation will be united in preserving the premier resort status for our communities here in Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge. That is something you are the goose that laid the golden egg for sales tax in the state of Tennessee, and you need to be able to keep your fair share of the sales tax dollars. And I think I can speak for Dale and Art and I. We will fight to retain that.
Okay, our next speaker is State Representative Art Swan. He represents the 8th District, which he says is the southeast side of Blount County and all of Gatlinburg. He will serve Gatlinburg until the election in November, which with the redistricting, we will get a new representative. He has served 6 years in the legislature, 4 years in the 80s, and 2 years recently. He is a 7th generation Tennessean, and it is my pleasure to introduce to you State Representative Art Swan.
Podium, join me in a rendition of Happy Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Swan. Happy birthday to you.
You know, I never thought that I'd be 30 twice. It just didn't seem possible in my life, but unfortunately I've achieved it. I don't know whether I want to be 33 times. I just want to warn you, Dale, about Doug. When we were standing out here getting ready, you know, he wanted to help me with my coat, and he snuck out of my pocket some of my notes. And I thought, these things sound familiar. And I looked in there, and they weren't in my pocket anymore. So, you know, a lot of these things he said obviously made some sense because I wrote them. There are a lot of things I want to say. And probably the most important one is I want to thank Gatlinburg for what it's done to my life. You know, you're special people, and I appreciate every one of you. Thank you very much. There's a lot of economic things going on to try to prop this country back up. And to me, it's a simpler thing than what we try to do with it. As I look at economic community development, if you notice, you always pick up the paper and they're after this big corporation or that big corporation somewhere, and we're making all these concessions to try to bring them in. And that's great when we bring in a big company. Some of them are here for a short period of time and use all our concessions and then move on. And some are here permanently and provide jobs for a lot of people. I really think that the new direction for that department needs to be toward helping small business that already exists in this state and help start up some new ones, but primarily help existing small business. As I look in Gatlinburg, I don't know how many small businesses there are here, but it's an enormous number. Probably as good a congregation of small business as there is anywhere in the state of Tennessee, and maybe in lots of areas of the country. Particularly if you look at the size of the county as a whole and the community as a whole, percentage-wise, I guess there's probably more small businesses here in Gatlinburg than most places in the United States. So I would like to see, and I'm going to work toward, a goal of saying thank you to the businesses that have contributed over and over and over to the community. I had a person say to me the other day, I was in a restaurant in Alcoa, and it's a little country restaurant that's been there for, golly, I guess 30 years or more. And I said, you know, Jerry, how you doing? He said, I'm doing all right. And I said, well, you know, you got a good business here, you have had for years, people like you and they trade with you. He said, well, I'll tell you what bothers me. He said, you know, if you look out here on the highway, all these new businesses, my competition is brand new, and they're chains that have come into the area. And he said, you know, they've gotten all these concessions to come in to compete with me. Now, what does that say about me for being here for 30 years paying taxes? You invite in my competition, you give them tax concessions, And here I am to try to fight my way through all this. And you know, it really hit my heart because, you know, we're always chasing that big fish. And, you know, the big fish is everybody here in this room. And when you break a piece off, you've lost a major thing. And I don't know when we're going to get that message. You know, it's so fundamental and so simple to try to reinforce what you've already got. You know, I used to, in business, the hardest thing for me to do was to go out and recruit other businesses, but I never forgot my existing business base. And, you know, you have enough of those that just die off for various reasons, either go out of business or a family member dies or whatever the reason is, but they go out of business. So you've always got to be doing some replacement in your customer base. But, you know, it's going to be a major goal for me this year. As far as the judicial system, I will have a bill pertaining to the Attorney General, the State Attorney General. I have it, I'm not going to say just yet exactly what I'm going to do, but it'll be a blend of some thoughts that have been floating around. I am concerned not because of the individual that's there, because I think that Bob Cooper is a wonderful man and a good Attorney General. I do have some concerns that allegiances be to the right people, and that's to you. And I don't want an all-out open election, but I do have some ideas about how we can change that system. I think I'm going to open it up for questions now since Doug stole my notes. Again, I want to say, you know, when I came up here, Jerry over there was the first one to grab my hand. And I appreciate that. And Bud, you know how you've helped me, I can't say enough times. And all the commissioners, this is a wonderful, wonderful place you've got. And you're a tight community, and many of you are new to the area or were born here, and many of you were born here. But you blend very well together. And that's what makes communities grow, the old and the new. And being an old family myself in Blount County, you know, that's how we've grown too. And don't forget that. You need both. You always need new blood moving up the ranks. But you don't push out the ones that are getting older because their knowledge base is so immense and can help you along the way. But I'll open it up for questions. Chatty bunch today.
No questions?
Okay, our next speaker is the presumptive state representative Dale Carr. He is the winner of the Republican primary this past spring. He will be having an election in November, which he will be seeking the 12th district seat in the House of Representatives, which will represent Gatlinburg with the new redistricting. He is a current city alderman for the city of Sevierville and a lifelong resident of Sevier County, and we look forward to see what he's going to do in Nashville. It is my pleasure to introduce presumptive state representative Dale Carr.
Thank you, and I'm so blessed. I do not have an opponent in November, so I'm sitting very easy right now, and it feels good. First of all, let me say this. Senator Overby and Representative Swan and I have already sat down and had lunch together. We plan to have breakfast together at least once a week down there. We are going to be working as a team. So we're not going to go off in different fractions or or different ways. We're going to try to get all of our means together, and when we come out, we'll be united in what this county needs, what our district needs. And I thank Senator Overby for setting all that up with nice, and I thank Art Swan for setting this up here today to give me a chance to come and speak to you also. I don't know much about what's going on down there now other than what I have been involved in, so I can't speak to all the matters. I just want to tell you who I am and how I got here. First of all, I am Dale Carr. My grandfather was the Reverend Joel Carr, and he had to move out of the mountains up here when they started the park up here. I have my great-grandfather and grandmother that are buried right across from the Sugarlands Visitor Center in the little cemetery up there. As you know, I have been in this county all my life. My family out here, Carr's Northside Colleges, had a motel out there for years, and the grandchildren are still running at this time. I always worked for my Uncle Ralph down in Seymour. Didn't want to come up here and work in Gatlinburg at the time in the 70s when I thought the traffic was bad then. But anyway, I worked 30 years for Sevier County Electric System, and as you know, in 1999, Todd Thompson and I started our own small business. So when we talk about small businesses, Art and Senator, I do know what you're talking about. I took $12,500, Todd took $12,500, and $25,000 we opened a company. And we have been so blessed in this area with the economy the way it's been and with all the real estate that, yes, I built a nice building and we're progressing, and we have been able to withstand the last 2 or 3 years, and I do appreciate that. Now, getting back to how I got here, I was working, and in 1987, we built a new building from the electric system, and we went up on Dolly Parton Parkway or East Main Street. I have been involved in volunteer work all my life. I've been a volunteer fireman, I've been a volunteer rescue squad, and I've been a volunteer for my wife for 39 years. So anyway, I've been volunteering all my life. And in 1987, I could see that Sevierville was doing some things, and I was encouraged to get into that. And so I made an announcement, I'm going to run for city council. And they come to me and said, you can't run for city council. I said, why not? I said, the city of Sevierville owns you. And we do have a policy in the city of Sevierville that, if you work for the city of Sevierville, you can't hold office, which I think that's good. So I said, okay, I'm going to put that in the back of my mind. And in a few years later, I thought, well, if I'm not going to be involved in that, I want to get involved in something else. And with the real estate, and I had my real estate license and stuff. I didn't have them renewed or anything, but I took in the classes years and years ago. And my son announced that he was going to go to Maryville College. And it's quite expensive college. So I decided I'd get into the real estate and auction business. And I think most of you know the story from then. I worked for Scott McCarr for several years. Then in 1999, we started our own business. And I'm proud to say that I have signed both sides of that check. And when we first started, it was hard. It was hard. We had a line of credit that we lived off most of the time during the winter. Had to pay that back during the summer months and the fall months. So I went on to continue with that. And in 2003, I had put in 30 years, which I've got a lovely ring to show for, at the Sevier County Electric System. I decided it was the time was right for me to pull out from the Sevier County Electric System. And, excuse me, I've got this sign, so I'm going to dry them out. And so I went full-time with Todd, and we continued on our business. I knew that the next election was going to be 2005 for the City of Sevierville Board of Mayor and Alderman. I was running through the courthouse one day, and it was about time for all the petitions to be out, and I looked over on the wall. There was 2 petitions, Claude Ormby and Ron Ogle. And I said, I wanted to do this. And they told me back to the electric system I'd never do it, but I had kept that in my mind. I wanted to serve in some capacity. I went home and sat down with my wife, as I should have. And I said, honey, I'm wanting to run for council. Are you going to divorce me? She said, no, how much money are you going to spend on advertising? I said, well, just enough to get elected. So before the election was over that time, we did have one more candidate come out, Jack Connor, and we had a race. And I was elected in 2005 for my first term. I enjoy it tremendously. I enjoy the cause. I want the cause. I persevered from 1987 to 2005. And I kept it in the back of my mind all the time. I want to do this, and I'm going to do it. And I did. 2005, we had some very hard times. I mean, a lot of decisions to make in the city of Sevierville, as every city does. Had a lot of things come up. And in 2009, I was up for re-election again. And I didn't hesitate once. I wanted to run again. And my wife said, yeah, go ahead. We were doing well. So I ran in 2009, and I was elected again, and so grateful that I was elected. It was a three-man race at that time. And then I had expressed interest in time and several times that I'd like to run for state representative. So in 2010, I made it known that I would maybe want to run for state representative. Well, in 2010, then, as things come about, I was asked maybe not to run at that time. I said, okay, that's fine. I'll not run in 2009. But I said, 2010, and I said in 2012 would be my time. And the people that wanted me to run in 2012, I had to run this time. So I will stay dedicated to that. And I'm going to tell you, it was a very, very nice race. It was a hard race. I thought I was getting myself set up for maybe 2014, but I was lucky. I did get elected. And I do appreciate all the votes and the people out here that helped me. And I have spoken many, many times with Richard Montgomery. We're good friends. He plays golf every week with my cousins. And so we've had a very good time together. I sit down and talk with him. He sat down and talked with me. He's had nothing but good things to say about me in Nashville, and I do appreciate that. And it brings it down to this. I guess in my mind, when I set a goal to do something, I want to continue that goal. I want to persevere, and I want to be dedicated. And what I want you to know right here, as I can't stand up here today and tell you everything I'm going to do in Nashville and the things that have happened in Nashville, I want you to know that I'm going to be dedicated to my county, be dedicated to my other people in the Congress with me there, Senator Overby, Art Swan, as well as Andrew Farmer. He's in the 17th District. But as one newspaper article put it one time out of Knoxville, when we were running the race, he said he put it as experience versus energy. Now, everybody knows I've got energy. I run all the time. Scott McCarter nicknamed me the Energizer Bunny when I was working for him several years ago. I live on energy. But one thing that I think that if I could have made that headline myself, that I would have put experience versus energy, dedication, and perseverance. I want to have that through all my term. Dedication to Sevier County and perseverance that anything that this county wants, that I continue to pursue it until the last minute article has been turned over down there, that we can get back to what we need here in Sevier County. And I'm here to help anybody. I'll have the same telephone number. I'll have the same email address. So feel free to call me. I can't tell you anything down there yet. They've not appointed me to any office or anything. But I do appreciate you so much. And just know that I'm here for you, and I want to work with you. My door's, as Jimmy Quillon always say, and he used to come to the electric system a lot, he said, my door is always open, and it will be. I thank you, and if you have any questions for me, I'll be glad to take them and try to answer any concerns you have. They said they're saving all the questions for me, Art. Is that right?
I've got 10 to say them all.
Okay, go ahead. You start with number 10, work your way up, okay?
Questions?
I want to say one thing, one more thing, and I'll get quiet. I do appreciate having this time to speak. Dr. Parton and I have already sat down and talked about the school situations, and I'm right along with Senator Overby on that. We need more for our schools up here. I hope to work on that. Not that it's going to come overnight. I will tell you what I've asked for real quick. I have asked to be placed on the Transportation Committee and the state and local. Transportation to try to get some more avenues of roads in here to move our people around quicker. And I've also asked for state and local because I want to work with our local people here. It's sort of a caveat there. You either make the state mad and the locals happy, or make the locals mad and the state happy. So I tend to lean more toward the local side, so I'm going to try to make you all happy and don't worry about the state too much. Any questions? Thank you. Appreciate it.
Are there any questions for the three of them before we close out? You all just did a fantastic job, evidently. Okay, Stan?
I did have a question. When we talk about taxes, the hall tax, which comes to play particularly for probably the older generation who's living on some of their dividends and interests and so forth, is there any consideration for the lowering of the hall tax?
think that is going to be a topic of conversation, if not this year, in future years. 2 or 3 years ago, we did raise the exemption sum for those over 65, or individuals and couples over 65, which was a little bit of relief, but not a great deal. But there is a lot of energy to making, hopefully as our economy improves, as our sales tax revenue situation improves, I think that would be the next tax to be looked at. One of the biggest complaints that I have had over my 12 years in the legislature was the inheritance tax, that ours did not match up to the federal exemptions. And so for years we've worked toward matching it up, and then we were delighted this year when Governor Haslam decided to put us on the path of completely eliminating it. So I think we've got to be prudent about that, to make sure how that goes, to see its effect on our state revenue picture. But I can tell you there's a lot of interest in doing what we can to either eliminate the hall tax or continue raising the exemptions. Yeah, Jackie.
Senator, I just want to implore upon all of our representatives that Superior County, Superior County per capita sends more money to the national than any county in the state of Tennessee, but yet we receive the fewest dollars per child than anyone in the state of Tennessee, and that is outrageous.
That's right. We're 95 and 95, that's right.
You are exactly right. And back in 2007, when Governor Bredesen, who proposed this, I was there. I voted against BEP 2.0. I spoke and spoke and spoke. At that time, I was a member of the House Finance Committee, and I kept urging that we, in addition to your sales tax potential, your property tax potential, we look at the county's income and make income a third factor into the calculation. They kept saying you can't do it, but in talking to other authorities, they said, yes, you can. Even though we don't have a state income tax, you can determine what a county's income potential is. And if they had made that a third criteria, the 4 systems in Sevier and Blount County would not have lost money.
I think it's important to realize that Senator Obey was a top dialing for us down there. And he, as well as Art Swan did, and as well as Richard Montgomery. What I am imploring is that you continue the battle for the children of Sevier County. Absolutely.
We certainly will continue to fight that fight. And I know it's taken a long time. And I'm not trying to make excuses, but right after that change was made in 2007, then 2009, the economy crashes, and our sales tax revenue goes down and down and down. There really was not, and even though we had bills filed to make these changes, there was not a real chance of passing them with declining sales tax revenue. We're going to have to find the right time to do it and the right formula that needs to be simple, not complex, easily applied, but brings some equity to the situation. And we will keep working on it with your help, with your pushing, and we've got 3 directors of schools over in Blount County that would like to see it changed as well. That's one thing our counties are united about. Yes, sir.
Is it realistic that there'll be a super majority elected in November? And if it is, what do you see that would allow you all to do?
The question is it realistic to expect there will be a super majority elected in both the House and the Senate of Tennessee in November? And yes, it is very realistic. And Art Swan talks about when he was in in the legislature back in the 80s, 84 to 88, there were 30-some Republicans in the House and over 60 some odd Democrats in the House. That is now reversed, and even right now it's 64, 35.
34.
One empty. But you just need, 66 would be a super majority, and that is certainly realistic. In the Senate, right now it's 20 Republicans, 13 Democrats. To make it a super majority, you would have to have three more. Thank you. You sure? But it certainly, with the redistricting that occurred, it certainly is possible. There is the district that Senator Andy Burke, Democrat, holds right now. It changed to be more of a Republican district, and we probably will elect a Republican there. That's a pickup of one seat. The district that Joe Haynes in Davidson County retired from, by virtue of his retirement, that has made it a competitive district. The district that Senator Roy Herron is retiring from is a competitive district, and there was a new Senate district created in sort of lower middle west Tennessee, where current state representative Dr. Joey is running for the Senate. So yes, it could be. Now what does that mean? It means like the situation in was it Wisconsin, where all the Democrats just left the state and prevented quorums from happening in their state legislature. If there came such an issue in Tennessee, if all the Democrats left, there would still be a quorum and business could still be conducted. Let's hope we don't get to that situation. Everybody needs to be represented, and we need to, but I mean, you carry it to its logical conclusion, that's what it means. It also means if you have supermajorities, you can suspend the rules at any time, you can cut off debate. I hope if we get to that point, our party needs to be responsible. We need to, and I think we will. We've got great leadership in the House with Speaker Beth Harwell. We have great leadership in the Senate with Lieutenant Governor Ron Ramsey. We need to be responsible, and we do not need to you don't need to throw your weight around simply because you can. I think the citizens expect more of us than that, and we need to be responsible legislators and let everybody have a say on an issue. And because if you're on the right side, fair and open debate isn't going to hurt you. You need to be able to let everyone have a say, speak their mind, and then vote. Dale, welcome to the team. As Dale said, the three of us had lunch a while back, talked about issues of Sevier County, and Dale, thank you for giving me credit for that. Actually, it was Art that brought the three of us together because he felt like there needs to be an orderly passing of the baton, of the Gatlinburg baton, from his representation of this area to you. And we, our delegation has changed and is changing. In the past, it's been really four of us, one senator and three representatives representing Sevier and Blount County. Now, due to the redrawing of lines, we have another senator added. My colleague Steve Sutherland now represents a part of Sevier County. We have another House district with Andy Farmer, as you mentioned. So it's my hope that now five of us will. Did I do that math right? 5 or 6 of us, 5 of us, will in fact be able to get our calendars together to meet once a week on a weekly basis and share concerns. I don't think all 5 of us will ever, we won't agree on everything. But we do need to meet. We do need to share thoughts and ideas about the counties we represent and work together for your benefit in the legislature. Thank you very much.
All right, in light of the fact that I know that as Representative Swan has illustrated in what he was talking to us about today, we all have lots of businesses here that need to be run. We're gonna kind of close this out, but I do want to thank everyone for being here. This is a tremendous response to this activity, and I appreciate that. I want to thank GHA for joining forces with us to do this. We thank you all very much for being a part of this again and partnering to do this. I also want you to join in thanking Calhoun's for the wonderful lunch that we had today. And once again, I just want to say, number one, Senator Overby has always been absolutely wonderful when it comes to letting me just call him and talk to him and help explain situations that maybe I don't understand, or help me to work through things that we need to work through. I have to say Representative Swan has done a fantastic job in representing Gatlinburg, and even though we are not supposed to be yours going forward, we still are. And we expect as much, so just so you know, you're still going to get calls from us, but we do appreciate it. You all were instrumental in helping us to form the newly formed Gatlinburg Convention and Visitors Bureau, and helping us with the legislation that went through the state, and I want to acknowledge that. The Tourist Development Authority Act that went through the state back in April and May, that was thanks to our senator and our state representatives. So we thank you for that, because it's been very beneficial to this community, and we are moving forward with all of that, and I look forward to sitting down with you and the city manager and updating you all on the progress we've made. And then I just want you to know, soon to be Representative Carr, we've known each other for many years, and I'm excited that you're going to be representing Gatlinburg. I hope that during that lunch they informed you that there's many people in this room that will require your cell phone number, and that when you're driving back from Nashville, that will probably be one of us in this room that will be on it with you. But we're looking forward to working with you, and we're looking forward to continuing to have a wonderful, cohesive team there in Nashville working for us. So thank you all. Give them a big round of applause. Oh, yes, today is early voting starts today. I need to tell you that. Thank you for reminding me. So get out there and vote, vote, vote. We do have a little thank you for you all for being here today. So if I could get Vicki Blake and if I could get Christy Jordan and Jackie Leatherwood to join us up here. They would like to make a presentation to the 3 of you. I'll give each of you a seat. There's one. They had them at the office today, and they were saying we need to be writing these, and I said, okay, when you say we, are you talking about me? But these are actually beautiful. These are beautiful hand-carved, handmade brooms from David Ogle in our arts and crafts community, and it's given to you all so that you can use these in Nashville to make sure that you keep everything swept up and cleaned up there and going well for us here in Sevier County. So if you all would please join them, they would like to present those to you.
we'll make sweeping changes on it. Sorry, I couldn't pass that one up.
I was just talking to Mark over here, just so you know, and I still want the team, I want y'all to remember team. Art, we were talking in Nashville about a piece of legislation, and he was going to bring it up. And he said, I believe I'll just give it to you and let you bring it up. And I said, no, it's your legislation. You bring it up for what needs to be done up here. I'll sign off on it. So just be assured, be assured. I just told Mark, I don't care how it gets done, just as long as it gets done. Thank you.
All right, thank you again to everyone for being here, and happy birthday, Representative Swan. Thank you for being here. Have a wonderful day.